Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about loading the data from Excel and convert it into the HashMap. So this time we're going to talk a little different than what we did before. So in my previous video we talked about one single formatting. So if you see here this data, what we try to do here is in one of my video we did the first column, pretty much the same format of this column as the keys and the value. And then there are other videos that I had which was like a top rows as the keys and then any preceding rows to that is a value. So those are done, but this time it's a little hybrid. So here if you see, this is a controller which has a different formatting than these columns, right? So this has a column as the keys and as opposed to rows as a key. So we have to do kind of mix up work out here to make sure both of these are captured into the single hash map. So looping patterns and little coding gets different here, so and it could get little complication. So I want to go slowly and try to explain as much as possible and try to avoid all of unnecessary timings. So let's try to make this video shortest and we can go from there. So to do that, I have I have this empty class, right? So this class is all I did is I passed the path of whatever that file is, and then this is the class name, right? So let's go ahead and create some variables here. Then I'm going to create one list also, so because we want to capture that list of the seats name. So I'm going to import them, obviously util and boy objects, right? So very first thing what we need to do here is we need to load the data, right? So to load the file, what we need to do is private. And it will throw the exception. We have to handle that. So first thing what we need to do is a file. File, next workbook, new workbook, file input string, and then I want to create one class which is the method which will actually load all of the sheets names. So let's go ahead and create that. Load. I want the workbook to be the argument for that. Let's create this method here. So seats names is pretty much just coming from here. I'm just initializing that here before I add the values to that. So I'm importing this array list, which is a util, and I want to count the number of seats that I have in the workbook that is being passed. So it will be in workbook get number of seats, right? So now I can do for loop here to capture those names. I equals 0, I is less than number of seats, and then I plus plus. now what we do is we need to add those number names of that into this list. So dot add dot get sheet name with the I. So now this method is going to return you that specific sheets with that index, and then that will be added into the list. So after that, what we do is that's there. So before that ends, let's return this sheet name. So that should be happy now. So now what we did, we loaded the file and we also captured the list of those sheets name, right? So sheets name, whatever name of the sheets we have. Another thing we need to do is in order to read the Excel data that will have all different formatting, right? It could have a number or whatever date boolean. We want to convert that all into the string. So I'm going to create one private method that will return me the string if I pass the cell value, right? So I want cell to be passed, and based on whatever cell is given, it will convert and return me the string. So I'm going to use the ternary format here. So I'm going to show you before that. So pretty much the ternary is string is equal to null. Then you would say if cell dot get cell type then you will do like that. You get that and you would do cell dot get string cell value. So this is how like a conventional way we used to do like all if else. So now we want to do the ternary format, so we should remove all of this. I'm going to remove everything here and we can still do the same results. So if this is the case, I want that to be that. What that means is if this is a string format, then turn me into the string. Now obviously we have a more condition. Then what we need to do is else. This is the else if. So again we get this copy, I think, that, and then again else. We need that, and again else. So here, first value we're selecting is if it's a string, then string, right? Because most of the time you'll have a string, so I'm putting that to the first line. Then another could be numeric. If it is numeric, it is going to return you the double. So what you want is dot get numeric cell value, right? You don't put the semicolon there. And if it is a boolean, to capture the boolean value, right? So you do boolean cell value. There's one thing also called error. Error, you could just pass the error string cell value, and this is going to be default. And finally, if you find nothing, just convert whatever remains into the that value. So here obviously you're going to see the error because this is going to convert this into boolean, but you're trying to return the string. So to do that, let's convert that also. Value of. So now it will be happy on that. So let's copy this piece. We need that same thing for the above, and that will also be happy. So now number is all converted into the string value, and then finally we got this else block. So what happens here is you just have a if else statement, just making it clean that so value equals if this is a string with the question mark is pretty much like representing the curly braces. Get a string cell value if it is that. Right. So this should be happy now. Let's see. Okay, so that's that. Now I need to return that value. So now you see everything is good here. So you got, let's not format that, we had it. So we got this if else statement is done ready. So now we are going to write some method which is actually do the reading perform, right? So to do that, let's go to create one more method. So I'm going to return this the first method. This is going to read the data from the first master sheet. So we're going to just create a loop here. So to get I want the sheets to be sent here. So XSSF. So from that, I need to create one more map here. It is coming from YouTube. Copy the map here, so it's going to be coming from YouTube. So after that, we're going to create a loop here. So for int I equals 1, is less than sheet dot get last row num. Let's add one more because of the column we have, and then I plus plus. Okay, now what we do is we are just going to create rows here. So row get row here, I will be the case here, index. After that, we need to capture a key here. So string key cell equals get string. This is pretty much coming from the same method we used, right? That's going to be very helpful. We're going to use that so much. So we need to pass here cell, right? XSFS cell. So cell comes from row dot get cell. And you need to pass the index here, right? So your key is going to be the first column, right? Always. So it's going to be 0. It's not going to go through that. But other thing, we will need that again. So now column is int columns, number of columns equals row dot get last. So this will give you the number of columns. So after we have rows and columns, let's do another for loop to go through the values. So for j equals 1, j is less than columns j plus plus, because we already captured the first column. So this is going through the second column here. So we start from the 1. So string value. That's our value we just passed, right? So row dot get cell, and it will take the j now. So after we get a key and a value, let's put it inside our map. So map dot put key cell and then value, right? Value. Now key and a value is there. So after this, we're done with this method. So let's capture this outside. So return map. We're pretty much done with this method. So now it is going to return us. It will look through that first sheets, which is a master sheet, and it will capture all values, and it will convert into the map. This is what we need to do. But you need to call this method. You have to pass the sheet. So where do you get the sheet from? You need to go to get the sheet. You have to first load the file. You need to load the file. After you load the file, you get number of sheets. From that sheets, you have to pass one sheet, which is definitely you have to loop through this method to go through one specific sheet, and you need to pass that sheet into this method, and then it will now look for the master one, right? So that's the workflow we have. And also this is going to return us map, so which is just a key and a value. Okay, now next thing what we need to do is let's create another method like that, which will return us the values from the other sheets. So which is a private, but this time we are sending into the list. So list because this time we have multiple values, right, in the rows. So instead of having one row, one column, we have multiple values. So but we have still same keys, but multiple rows are representing the values. That's why we have to create a list of those. So we don't want to lose the data from like these ones, right? These, each one of these are the values for us, only these are the keys. So we have to create list of these maps. So each of these rows is a map, and we have to create a list of these maps to represent these values. Okay, so it will be key value to each one of these rows. So that's what we're trying to do here. So that's what, and then let's create a name of this method. We want the row to be passed this time, so it will be, let's say, row from the key, right? The key. So list, this is what we need to pass so that we can store them. So row. Now we're pretty much done with the writing method here. So let's loop again. So for I equals 1, I is less than sheet, get the last row num plus 1, I plus plus. Okay, so let's create another map that is called inner map. Don't get confused with the map. We have to go through this also. The more you know the Java collection, the more it will help you. We get a hash map. So now we need to create a row, access a row. Okay, so we got a row here. So from that, we need to capture the top keys, and then from that we have to go through the values for each one of this. So for, let's say int s equals 0, s is less than kilo, which is that what we're passing from here, the argument is coming from. So what this is doing is, when we call this method, we have to pass the row of the top row, which is the keys. So that's what we're trying to do. And what we're saying is, as many key you're passing, you have it in that top row. We want to look through each one of those. So if you see back to this Excel sheet, in this method, we are passing this map, this row. So from this row, it will go through each one of this cell, and it will say, okay, there are like 6 cells, 6 times I have to look through. If you had here like 4, it will, 4, it will go through each one of those. So it is capturing the keys of each one of this individual attribute that was passed into the row. So that is all what we're doing. And then here we're passing that into the list. So after that, what happens? So we need to capture the values. String equals get string. That's the method we just created, right? So ctro, going to be the value for us, right? So every time what this does is, the value is, if you see here, the s is going to be like each one of these is a s, right? S1, S0, S1, S2, S3, S4, S5. So that is what we're going. So the key is this one, and then value of S5 would be one below that. So value of S4 will be one below that. So that is what we try to do here. S is going to represent the number of keys from the first row, right? So then another is that is a value. This is going to be the key. Key is going to be the key row, not the sheet row, right? So the key row, that is the key row we want, because this is not going to change every time you go through this to here. So this is the sheets row we're capturing through, and we are capturing through here is a 1, right? The sheet row is a 1. So it will not go through here, but then when it gets the value, it comes here. When you get the key, you have to pass the key row. That's what we're saying, key row dot get that. So now you got a key and a value. Again, what you do, same as last time. So your inner map dot put, you have to put the key value, right? So you already captured the key and a value. So after that, what you have to do is you have to capture this into the list what you are passing from there. So this one is being captured, so that add. So that's what you have to add that back into the list, whatever is being passed from the whoever calls is in, right? So after that, because they're going to send the empty list, we're filling it in and then we're sending back to them. So return. Right. So that is now done here. So we captured here from the from here we capture the all of the values into the other sheets. So now we're very close to the actual work. So let's go back. Let's create a method called so public void. This is going to be public, right? So create test data mapper close. So throws the exception. So if we said if sheet equals null, that means if the sheet is not there, then load it. If the sheet is not there, then load the actual data. You see the actual data, it is going to load this whole thing. If the sheet is here, it's a public variable. That's what we're trying to get it, right? So the global variable, if this is not there or this is empty, then load it to me, right? That's what we're saying. So because sheet is being used everywhere here. Okay, now if that is there, then we load it. Now what we do is we need to create some variables. I added couple variables here. So first variable is a map with a list of map is a key is a string, and then value for this map is going to be list of the maps. What we did, list of the maps. Those are going to be the values. Now this sheet map is going to contain list of the maps. Now another map we have is a list of the map, right? Test actually control map. So this is going to be the control. So control is basically this master one doesn't have a list, it is just a key value. But what we want to do is we want to make sure this is also aligned with the other data. So we have to make sure this is also the list of the map. So let's now store this value. So x ssf get sheet 0, right? So what this will do it, if you go here workbook get sheets, it's going to give you the sheet name. So because this value sheet is going to be argument for this case, right? So here if you go here, the get from the columns we're passing the sheet name. So sheet is going to be the first sheet we want to pass for that method. So now we can capture the data from the master data. So let's do that. We get the value that is going to be called for this guy, right? Like that one. And then but if you go here, what does it return to you? Map with the string, right? Map with the string. But then this value should be added into the list so that we have the same format as this map, right? So sheet map will have a same type of data. In the sheet map, if you want to add the data, you cannot add this directly, right? You cannot add this directly because the argument that it is taking is only the list of the map. You cannot take the one single map. If you see here, you get the errors. So what you do is, that's why we create this value. So because that's the argument, this guy will take it. So what we do is we copy this, add, and then value would be that map, because the one map can be added into this list. So now this data is the one we're going to add. So if you see here, this is not going to be happy. I'm sure it will be happy. But okay, here what you need is you need to get a key also, right? It's a map, it's a hash map. You got the value, now you need a key. So what is the key? So key is going to be your sheet names here. That is going to be the sheet name is the key. We already captured the sheet names into the list, right? You know that array list has a load sheet names. Sheet names is going to be the keys here. Let's go back. Now why is it not happy? Let's see. That's not the add, it's a put. It's a map. Okay, so we got that. After that, we're done here. Okay, so let's go further down, right? So it's not done there yet. So now we're done with the master. So this map is already captured the master sheets for you. Now we need to go for the other sheet. So let's do the looping again. K equals 1. We don't need the first sheets anymore. So K is less than names dot size. Right? K plus plus. So what this is doing is it will pull all of the sheets name and it will loop from there. So from there again, let's create some variables. It is going to be list. We're going to capture it into a list, right? List of map, right? So it will be, let's name it as row data new array list, right? New array list. Let's say sheet. Let's initialize that sheet equals dot get workbook dot get sheet. Sheet names get. So it will be like a K in this case. So we got a sheet here. After that, what we need to do is we can just call that existing method. We're done here. So we have a method that just takes this sheet. So here, if you see, we have a method takes the sheet. So let's take that. So it is after that XSF row. Row 0, right? So this is going to be the key for the any sheets, any given sheets. It will go to the sheets. For given sheet, it will take the keys with this value. So it is saying get the first row and capture that as a key. So we have to pass these keys to the method that we're going to call now. So let's call that method. That method is going to be this guy, right? So how do we call that method? To call that method, what you need to do, you have to first pass the key row, right, which is a row, key row, and then row data and a list of the maps. So first thing is this guy, and then next thing is this is the empty guy, right? So I want that to be looped and send it back to me. So that is what we're trying to do here. So now if you see here, this format is list map of this list, right? So if you see just now what we did here, sheet map is a list map of the list, right? So what we need to do here, we need to now put it back into the mapping, our mapping. So that put it will take the key value. So key, we already have a value. So now key is going to be, we have a sheet's name, right? So sheet name here, sheet names dot. Okay, so now the name will be sheet. What we did is we captured entire sheets into this, and then each one of this sheet is going to be captured with the name of the sheet. So every time you want to put this, it calls that. So what happens here is, now we're done here, by the way. So what happens is we're capturing that, go through each one of the sheet, excluding the first one because 0 is done with the master here. Second column through whatever number of the sheets we have, go through each one of those. This is just a variable, and then we said, okay, whatever the comes through, capture the sheet, which is dot get k, right? Get sheet, workbook dot get sheet. That's going to give me the sheet, and then after that, that sheet I'm going to keep the name as a key, name dot that sheet, and then the key row is going to be whatever sheets of first row is going to be our key. I pass that key into this method, which is called that method, which we just worked on. The argument that it takes is key row, which is that sheets top row as a key, and then value is going to be just empty array list, and we want to store them into that method and return it back. So what we did here, sheet map is going to now the final map, like a super map, whatever you call it, right? So let's say if you want to print this guy out here now, you will be amazed. So we're almost done with that. So I think now it's a time for us to call the main method. So main method, what we do here is, let's call that this class you don't forget, so to call the method which is not static, what you have to do, I didn't get an answer, so what you do is read data equals new, right? So now you can call this object dot create mapper. If you see here, it is going to, what does this return to you? It doesn't return you anything. It's a void, right? So if you want to print anything, you should print here. So let's go here, and then we're going to do a couple runs here. Run as Java application. I hope nothing fails. We have to close that first. So if you see, the data is already loaded. That's how we want it. So let's copy the everything. It is harder to convert here. So if you see, there's a, one second. So you know this is a JSON, and it's just a JSON validator. I'm gonna put it here. Try to validate. Obviously it's a map, it doesn't validate it, it's a JSON, but it is, you get it, right? It is just going to capture all the data and then put it inside that same different maps. So let's do one more. So to do the proper validation, you can actually convert this into the JSON object. So all I did is here is JSON object, JSON. JSON comes from org.json. I have it in the other videos too. And then you get that whatever map you created, just pass it into that. You can print that also out, and then just call this method. So here, if I run this whole thing, so if you see the difference, right? The first one's a hash map, second one is a JSON object. So JSON object ones can be validated online if it is correct format. So I can just basically copy paste here and then do the validate, so online here. So it's just, you know, gives you like a better readability. So here if you see, the data is like a master data, has all of the rows that we had it. Yes, no, it has captured. Now in the computer section is an array. So first row is captured here, second row is captured here, right? And then third row is captured here, right? After that, you're done with the gift cards. Gift card has its own. Only the thing is it doesn't have the correct order, right? It doesn't have order like insertion order preserved. Now if you see jewelry and digital download, those were the empty ones. That's why you just see empty list. So that's how we have pretty much stored the data into all of the all of the sheets name. So now if I want to read that data into you know, specific sheet, so how do I get it? I get already here. What is this? This is going to return us list of the map, right? So if I want to read, like, let's say I want to fetch the data from that specific, like this one is TestData. So let's actually, because I cannot pull this directly, let's actually create a setters to set this entire data so I don't have to load it every time. So to do that, let's create one class called method called, you can put this setter like in a global anywhere, but for now I'm just going to create one here locally. So I created a variable called Excel data map here, which is basically returning the same format as the sheet map that we had. So it has a list of maps with the map. So I pretty much just wanted to store whatever we loaded. We don't want to load the entire data again and again and again. So we want to capture that. So to capture that, first thing is, as soon as I load it, I want to do that storage here. So I said this data equals, that will fill this data into this value, right? So now, but how do I get it? To get this, I need to create a method called public. This is a public getter. throw the exception because we have that loading here. So if collection utils size is empty, there's a method called size is empty, which basically does like, if this value, this data, that variable is empty, that means that doesn't have any value, then do this loading thing. So this loading here, this, just call this method here. So what this is does, when you call this method, it will automatically load the data and do entire thing. So all of the variable methods that we wrote before is going to automatically triggered by this one single method. So that's what we're trying to do. If this is empty, only load it for me, right? So to do that, I just need to call that method, no arguments required, everything's handled by itself, and then I would say just then return me this value. I need to call this method, it will automatically return me that. If it is empty, it will take care of it also, so I don't get any exception. Now how do I get the data? Let me create another method that will return me from the sheet name. So public list, obviously your data is based on the list of the map, right? So list get data from the sheet. So string sheet name our argument. That's how we're keeping in the hash map, right? So we need to pass that key, whatever is there. So how do we get that? So to get that, what we will do is we'll just create a another method called getter, which is this method. That's the map.get. What is the key? That's all, right? So what do you do here? You need to return, right? You are returning that with the sheet name. You have to throw the exception because you know the answer. So we got everything now. If I need to call, now I don't need to load this anymore, right? I can just call read data dot get data from sheet. So sheet name is a master, for example, then it will return me the master sheet. How do I do this? I can just print this out here. So you still see this printout because I have it printed out. Even if you trigger this method, it will internally go inside to trigger this. You'd still see this. I'll leave that alone. Cleanup is you can do that later. So I just wanted to print this out for this demo purpose. So now I want to print the data from master sheet, so I can just run this Excel. And at the time it's running, I'm going to run some more. So it's, if you see another ones, if you want to just get like where is the another one? Computers. So if you want to get the computers data, this is the master, right? And then if you want to get like empty one, for example, that's the empty sheets, I think. So if you want to just run this 3, we're only running this now, okay? We're only running this. We are not calling anything else. We are directly calling this method, which is down here, and you are passing the sheet's name. Based on the sheet's name, it will go to return you the list of that value. So now when I run this, now I'm going to just comment these values. If you want to get this same thing into JSON format, this is only you need to do. Up until now, you still create a map, everything there, and just this 2-liner is going to convert it into the JSON. So it's just a preference. Some people like to use the JSON format. Cleaner now, so I run that again. Sorry, it's getting a little longer video than I initially thought it would. So see here, if you see the computers, right? So master had a low data, less data, and if you see this one, this data had like a more data, right? So it has like a 3 different rows. Each row is like covered by this, right? So each row is that. So how do you get inside of these values, specific values? It's again, you have to loop it because you are only returning the list of the map. So you have to first go inside the list of maps. So for example, I want to just go into like one specific here list. equals, let's say I want to go into computers. That's the bigger data than the master data, right? So like that. Then what you do after that, you got that data. Now you have a map, which is not just a map, it's a maps. There are multiple maps. Now what do you do? For what is one map, right? What do you do? Map, right? Let's print out the first value of the map. Now you want to do that, or you want to even go furthermore. You can just do that map dot get. What is the key here? Let's say what are we pulling? Computers. Computer has what? Gift cards. Let's say gift cards. What's the value for the gift card, right? So let's run this part, and that would be it for this video. Okay, so it looks like gift cards wasn't the key, so it returned me the empty value, but you have these values, right? So let's say I want, this is a computer, it ran that, let's go to, no, that's not the computer. So let's just pull the password from instead of gift cards, right? So passwords, you got that values here, right? Somewhere. So I think these are the passwords. You see 1 2 3 4 5 6, those are printed. So this is how you would access the data at the label. So how do you use in the test? Test is once you capture, see, loading data and running test is totally different thing. Loading data, don't worry about how you use in test. First, make sure you are loading it correctly, so you are out of that flat file, right? And then you are having everything inside your Java code. Now you manipulate the data, how you use it. It's based on your coding, right? So now use this within the loop, or if you want to go through like this loop, fine. If not, you capture this data first, and then within this loop, for example, you want to run that desktop scenario. What do? You go up to this stage, and when you hear this label, that's where you want to run your scenarios, right? So whatever here, and what happens, each specific row is your scenario. It already had a key, just like map.get password. Any of this loop will give you that, right? So you need to do like that pattern. So again, why I'm doing like this is because I don't want you to be so much confused with like having a giant method. That's why you have to make it the smallest possible, clean code, right? Make it very clean, whatever needed, make it like a functional oriented. You don't write a duplicate codes, and it's clean and readable. I hope this video is pretty long, so I hope this is not boring to you, and I hope this has been very helpful. If you feel free to, so please feel free to comment and add your feedbacks how you like it, and please like and subscribe my video, support my channel. I hope this can bring some value to you, and we'll look forward for some additional videos in the future. Thank you so much for watching my video, and please continue to support my channel, subscribe my channels, and see them. Thank you very much.